Hey there, y'all. It's that damn Billy, and I'm finally back after my little self-imposed hiatus there. In all honesty, I just was not doing real well. I was having some pretty bad depression, and it was getting pretty dark, and it even began to scare me. And I found a solution, but the part of the solution is I haven't been doing these vlogs because, okay, I practice Nichiren Buddhism. I've been practicing this Buddhism for 9 years now, and but it's never been my intent to make this vlog be about religion. You know, I don't want to be specifically about religion or lack thereof. I mean, I define myself as an atheist that practices Nichiren Buddhism, so I don't want to preach at anybody or proselytize or anything like that. But in my depths of despair, when I really wanted to admit myself to a psych ward because I was afraid, and but I knew I couldn't leave the cats, and I thought, well, what do I do? You know, and I reached out to a mailing list of fellow Buddhists. I think there was like 28 people on the mailing list. I maybe know 3 of them, but I reached out and I said, you know, I'm not doing well. You know, my husband committed suicide back in July, which most of them were aware. And, you know, I'm just not doing well. I'm really, you know, I'm not unhappy. I'm just stuck, you know, really stuck. And man, within hours, like one of the recipients on the mailing list had called her husband. He was at my door at 6 p.m. when he got off work to chant with me. And so one of the reasons I haven't been doing my vlog is because, like, my life is so tied into my Buddhist practice right now, and I don't want to be like, I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to turn them into, you know, convert them or anything like that. But you know, honestly, in the last 3 weeks, particularly in the last week, I have done a complete 180, and it's because, well, you know, I mean, a couple of things. I mean, and I'm not gonna, I suppose, oh, where did I put it? You could call this, this is an affirmation, and it's an affirmation I read all the time. No matter what the circumstances, you should never concede defeat. Never conclude that you've reached a dead end, that everything is finished. You possess a glorious future. And precisely because of that, you must persevere and study. Life is eternal. We need to focus on the 2 existences of the present and the future and not get caught up in the past. We must always have the spirit to begin anew from this moment, to initiate a new struggle every day. And this tattoo, it's kind of hard to see. Actually, what that means, it's Japanese is honnin-myo, which means to begin anew each moment. We begin our lives anew. And, you know, and I read that, and you know, like, I'm not, like, applying it, you know, like, I know that, you know, I must stay in the present and the future. It's okay to grieve about Jack's loss. Of course I grieve it, but it's not okay to get all mired in self-pity and let go of my own life, you know, and my own responsibilities. And I have to figure out a way to support myself. And, anyway, so then I went to one of my district meetings the other day. Somebody texted me and said, "Are you going to the Buddha meeting?" And I said, "Oh, geez, I always forget because it's Sunday mornings, and I'm just not a Sunday morning person." And but it was just down the street, so I brushed my teeth and I ran and I went and I was not in a good space. This is about Sunday before last. I was not in a good space. I couldn't stop crying through the whole meeting and whatnot. But there was a woman who'd been practicing Nichiren Buddhism for like 50 years, you know, Caucasian lady. She was talking about, she read something, some sort of inspiration or some experience, but she shared an experience of at one time, 20, 30 years ago, she and another person have went to Japan to hear President Ikeda, who is the spiritual mentor of Soka Gakkai, which is the Buddhism I practice, to hear him speak and other people speak and whatnot. It was a big convention and everything. And so she was there, and she's sitting next to another woman in the auditorium, and, you know, and she's telling the other woman something about, like, oh, my knee hurts, and I'm worried about this, and the woman turned to her and said, like, "Don't look at it." She said, "What?" She said, "Just don't look at it." And man, it clicked. It really clicked. I'm not in denial. I know Jack is gone. I know he took his own life. I found him. So it's not about don't look at it. It's just don't make it the focus. Don't make it the focus because, as it says, we need to focus on the two existences of the present and the future and not get caught up in the past. And, I still have some years left. I'll never forget Jack, and I'll never not love him. And I forgive him for anything, and I hope he would forgive me. But, it just don't look at it. And it's tough. It's tough because that is your inner darkness. Your fundamental darkness wants to keep you mired down in there in grief, in sadness, in misery over something that you can do nothing about. And you have to be ever wary of that, and and you've got one of the things about Buddhism. It's about learning to control your mind as opposed to having your mind control you, and that's one of the things I like about it. Intellect is not punished in this Buddhism. In fact, it's encouraged. So they want you to question. They want you to ask why, not just believe on blind faith. This is science. This is a philosophy. Oh gosh, and I really sound like a kook. I'll be serving Kool-Aid later. But anyway, and there is something to, but I can't keep looking back. I have those memories. This is always going to be a part of who I am. I'll never be able to separate that. But you know what? I accept that. On some level, I chose this. On some level, I believe, on some karmic level, and I do believe this, that in this life, I needed to have this experience. Just as maybe Jack needed to have the experience of despair and ending his life. All I can do is accept. It doesn't mean I approve. And on some level, maybe I decided, well, I have to be 17 years with a person who takes their life, and I don't really know why. And that hurts, but I can't look at it. Not all the time. There's a time and place. But, I have to look out. I have to look towards that glorious future. I have to look to being the best me I can for myself and for his memory. So, anyway, if I do go on about my Buddhism, I'm not proselytizing. I'm really not. I want you to believe it. Believe in something you love, as opposed to believing in something you're afraid of. That's what chose me. That's what brought me to Buddhism. I couldn't no longer believe in a God that I was fearful of and that I was brought up and I know that was not their intent. I know that was not their message, but that's what I internalized. That's what I experienced. And I believed in God because I was afraid not to, I believed out of fear. Whereas Buddhism, I believe in the practice of Buddhism because I love it. It makes total and complete sense to me. It's rational. It's logic, and it's about cause and effect, give and take. So anyway, I'm not going to hammer religion into you. I just wanted to say hi and let you know I'm doing a little better. Still cultivating the beardage, and I will get back on schedule. I'll see you Friday. Love you. Thanks so much for all your support. Bye.